Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Animaking 3. And today I'm going to be giving you part 32 of What If Naruto Was Betrayed by Hagoromo, guys. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline over an Anime King 2. And enjoy a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was an elite blue-eye Uchiha over an Anime King. Yes, and if you're wondering, I do have 3 channel guys, Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3. I post what ifs on a daily basis on each channel, so go ahead and check them out and enjoy. And remember to click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode, start the intro. So the last time we left off, the entire world thought that Naruto Osusuke was dead, as a lot have happened in the past week or so since everyone thought that he was dead. Kiri had wrestled back control from all of the Osusuke guards that were at the minor station near village to watch over and be in control there. Even though Mei was a Mizukage, she was not the one delivering direct orders, as she had to listen to someone deliver orders, as Kiri really didn't belong to her or the elders or any of the members on the council. It belonged to Naruto. But as soon as they found out and realized that he wasn't coming back, they were slaughtered. It took many of her men, as she wasn't expecting them to be so powerful, but they were. They had similar chakra to what Naruto had, that silver glow going through them, but in a completely lesser degree. But they were able to bring them down, and now they were gone, and she had taken back control over Kiri. Mito and Haku still refused to believe this, that Naruto was dead. Sasuke refused to believe it as well, but Naruto was a very prideful person, and he would not hide. At Kumo, the Raikage and Tsuchikage was discussing what to do after now, as the both of them were going to take over the Osusuke Empire and plumage that village. Dig every last piece of resources from it. Take everything. It was then that they heard something slurping, as the entire sound for the outside was cut off to them, so they didn't know the chaos that was happening in Kumo at the moment, as the Tsuchikage had come there to speak to the Raikage. As Naruto entered, as he was sipping on a juice in one of those large Bicho cup with a straw, as he was eating a cinnamon bun roll, shocking the Kages as they couldn't believe it. He was supposed to be dead, as Naruto then explained to them his plan. After all, he would have slaughtered all of them if it was real him. In fact, it was not. It was a clone of himself. A clone that was able to absorb the nature energy. That was always something that Hagoromo had over Naruto's nature energy. Naruto snapped his finger. Hagoromo and Hamura were shocked when they suddenly appeared. Having nature energy now, Naruto could pull their souls into this world without the time limit affecting him at all. As Naruto tell them what happened when he sent a clone down. After all, why did the Raikage think that out of all the places in the world, Naruto would land right in front of him with Tenere? Well, it was all Naruto planning, as it took some time for him to gather the amount of nature energy and forcefully dominate it with his own chakra. Now he had the ability to gather, as he stored the nature energy inside his body. His eyes changed, giving him a golden color in them. As Naruto told the Raikage after dismissing Hamura and Hagoromo that he's never gone all out on someone yet. Every single fight has been boring because he had to hold back a large degree of his power. That is why he tried to make them be as strong as possible before he take them on, but still their machines were nothing. As he proved that by letting Raikage hit him, the nature engine didn't even affect him at all. He snapped Naruto's neck, who tried to intervene, and Kurasuke as well, just to make the Tsuchikage falter. As he decided to release the sound as he snapped his finger, the building top exploded as Ragnarok was tearing through the village, chaos and destruction was outside, as Naruto flew up in the air and decided to show them that he was the one and only god. He ended up splitting the village right down the middle, before dropping a hand of calming down in the village, destroying a large part of the village. The Raikage and Tishikage was able to survive, but there was nothing but chaos. As Naruto simply created another moon, but this moon had writing on it, showing it that it belonged to Naruto, and the entire world did as well. He then flew off to Kiri. He had warned Mei Terumi. Everywhere over the world, everyone saw the moon. As they realized that he was not dead, Mei told Ayo to gather everyone immediately, as she knew that he was coming for them. After all, he warned her. But she will fight with her last breath to protect her people, no matter what, or who, or what exactly he is. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across to the place and check it out for yourself. So let's begin this new episode. Chaos. That was the one word that you can use to describe Kumo at the moment. Death, suffering. The remaining ninjas that were alive helped their comrades and the civilians from the debris, the beams, everything that had collapsed. The Raikage stood there, his expression blank, along with the Tishikage. The both of them looking over the grim destruction of the village. The Tishikage was even looking towards his granddaughter, as the memory of her neck being snapped was still fresh in his memory. The man was furious, both of them were. Pain and cry was being heard all over the village. People suffering. People being brought to the hospital and treated. His village was split down the middle. The deep trench. Not even a civilian could pass. The ninja would have to leap over to the side, a normal civilian, as the chaos was immense. As the man realized that all of this hoping, thinking that he had won, Naruto Osusuke was just playing him for a goddamn fool. The man smashed his fist, letting his temper get a hold of him as he destroyed a broken building that was already tear down. Control yourself, said Tishikage. In this time, we cannot afford to lose our head. It doesn't matter, the Raikage said. What exactly can we do? The Raikage wouldn't admit this out loud, but he was struck with the fear of God after seeing what Naruto did. He created a moon. He split his village. He brought down a hand from the heavens like Kami itself. And he simply said that he didn't want him to die. He wanted him to find a way to entertain him, like he was just looking for something fun. What exactly could they do to a man like that, who could do these things? As he had said it once before, and he said it again and again, perhaps he should accept the fate that man truly was a god. In this world, nothing is eternal, said the Tishikage. One way or another, we will find a way to kill this man. After this event, I am sure the whole world now understands the threat. He has basically claimed the world as his own, as you can see by the moon. So it's time that we call for support, because the two of us aren't enough to defeat him, said Tishikage. Realized that they completely underestimated the power of Naruto Osusuke. But now the world will understand what kind of threat he was, and that he can't afford to remain living, and everything will be sent after him. The Tishikage doubted he could survive everything in the ninja world. Yes, rogue, missing ninjas. The Tishikage doubted that he could survive it all, as his boy will not be allowed to conquer the entire world, not if he had something to say with it, and he would surely ensure that he was a part of it, to make him suffer for what he did towards his granddaughter. Meanwhile, standing on top of a cave, Zetsu was beside Obito, who had his mask on. Obito had been shocked silent, yes. Madara had told him about the Sage of Six Paths, and what the man was able to do, literally create a moon. And he just witnessed with his own eyes Naruto Osusuke create a moon. As he realized now that this man was something beyond what he thought he was in the first place. He thought that he was just simply a boy that had more than enough power for his age. After all, he was a normal, genuine Konoha. But he left the village under unknown circumstances and then became this god. A god that was able to create a moon. Obito didn't know what to say, as he remembered him trying to attack him. As he saw now why none of the girls were worried. Why none of them made a move to do anything. Because they knew that he couldn't do anything. He glanced towards Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu, he said. You are Madara's will incarnate. Tell me, Do you think that Nagato can stand up to this power, with the power that his Rinnegan bestowed upon him? Black Zetsu said nothing for a while, as he just looked up in the sky, before he spoke. From what I've seen, the Rinnegan that Naruto Osusuke is using, it's red, with 9 Megatamas in each of them. It seemed to be a far, powerful advanced version of what Nagato possesses. But it's still a Rinnegan. If Nagato goes all out, if he's able to fight at his fullest, he might be able to bring Naruto Osusuke down. After all, it's not like we have another choice. Obito said nothing as he simply stared up in the sky, for once afraid of his plan failing. If Naruto was to turn on them and attack the Akatsuki, it will all be for naught, because he wasn't sure anyone of them could stop him. He has already shown that he was able to bypass his Kamui and just literally walk through it and pull him out of his dimension. Just what exactly was he? It's time I speak to Nagato, he said, as he started to suck himself away in a swirling vortex, leaving Black Zetsu behind. The moment he was gone, Black Zetsu simply scoffed. He might not like Naruto, but at least Naruto wasn't getting his way of bringing back his mother, and once everything was said and done, he was sure that Naruto would break the seal to bring back his mother with the power granted him by the Tail Beasts. But he was confused. If he could do this, if he could literally create a moon, he must surely have the power to free Mother by now. But why wasn't he? Or could he not free her? Or perhaps he doesn't want to free her. Black Zetsu had no idea, but it's not like he would go to Naruto and ask him this. The last time he decided to speak to him without getting permission, he almost died. So for now he will just keep quiet and watch how things played out. But Zetsu would not tell Obito that he was, wasting his time with Nagato, as Nagato wouldn't be able to stand a single chance against Naruto. After all, he's a god. Meanwhile, at Kirin, ninjas were shaking. Out of desperation and fear, they had felt the world tremble. Many people knew of the, myths of the Sage of the Sixth Path, as many people thought that he wasn't real. But they knew of his goals, as if you believe in him, you would know that he created the moon. And to see this person that was coming after them create a new moon bigger than the old one, it had shaken the world greatly. The seas had turned, water had rise up, the gravitational pull tremoring through the earth, but everything had settled down now. But this man was now coming for them. It shook them to their very core. Mei Terumi was at the head of the army. Despite Ayo and the others' warnings, she was not running. She was standing right here. She was going to go down fighting for her country. She fought so long in a civil war. She was not going to just have it taken away from her without fighting. And she was a Mizukage. Rules be damned, she will be standing here to fight as well. All of them felt it. The pressure, the density of death. They felt like the Shinigami itself had gripped their heart and was slowly yanking on it. As they saw it, a large bird. Well, it wasn't really a bird. It was a dragon. The shadow was the first thing to reach them, looming over their heads. The entire sky was shaded. Ragnarok was at his full size. A bit smaller than a Jobi, but bigger than any other tail beast flying in the air. Ragnarok was a beast to behold. Power was illuminating from the great beast, as he just wanted to blow them all to smithereens. But Naruto pat him on his head before he leaped off. He dropped like a whistle bomb as his feet slammed into the ground. Debris and the earth was rooted up, but he simply dropped straight. His knees did not bend. He stood a few feet away from the army. The dangerous army that they have gathered, to him, was nothing but a pathetic show. He simply scoffed. His eyes made contact with her. Mei Terumi could not keep the fear out of her eyes, as her hand trembled slightly. Kojo was near to her side. He will be fighting to the death as well. They had no allies, it was only them. This would sound ridiculous for one man to be able to survive an entire onslaught of a village. Back in the old days, Hoshirama Senju could do something like that, but not even him possessed the power that this being in front of her possessed. As Naruto looked at her up and down, His face looked rather jovial. Pathetic humans, he says. He shook his head. As Naruto had found that being all serious lately has been rather boring. Because when he thought about it, he had mastered Sage Mode. He had a kingdom to run. Well, he didn't really run it. Tell you why I did, but that was not the big deal. The thing was, he had got almost everything that he wanted. The only thing that he wanted right now was a strong opponent to fight. Someone to actually push him to his limits. So he didn't really see the seriousness in this situation. It's not like any of them could actually do him anything. I warned you, said Naruto. Mei said nothing as his voice traveled right over to her. I told you if you betrayed me I would come back here. I would slaughter everyone, I would leave you for last, so that you can watch all of them burn, screaming in chaos and pain. But yet still you gone and betray me. Why is that? Kiri will no longer suffer under your reign. This village is taking back what you took from us. And we will no longer falter. We will no longer bow. We will fight till our last breath, she said. The ninjas behind her stood tall, hearing their leader, not wavering. Naruto simply laughed. His laughter turned wicked as a dark. His silver aura had become even darker, with so much malice as it spread over the company. A few of them dropped to their knees, unable to breathe. Blood started to leak from a few of their ears and their mouth, as they felt their inside turning. Naruto vile, corrosive chakra washing through them like a poison acid cloud, and it was not literally visible, but it was still affecting them. As Naruto reigned in his chakra as he watched some of them writhe in agony. Do you really think that there's a chance that you can win here? It doesn't matter, we will not bow, said me. Naruto sighed. Well then, just you, he said. She looked at him a bit confused. In order for me to spare this entire village, I suggest you shed your clothing, go on your hands and knees, and lick my boot, he said. Mei looked affronted by the request, as her eyes hardened. This won't be that last time. As her man, all of her soldiers are willing to die to put their life on the line, so that they wouldn't have to be controlled by this tyrant anymore. They will fight. By doing so, she hoped the rest of the world can see and understand to join them in this fight. To realize that this man should be purged from this world. But she thought it was going to be a long drawn out battle, like the Civil War. But she was wrong. As Naruto's body started to get heated, the ground under his feet started to melt a bit. As she noticed that, she was a user of lava techniques, so she was accustomed to the heat. But the place started to get hot, too hot. Her ninja started to sweat. Will you abide by my request, said Naruto. Never, she told him. Ayo looked towards her. She nodded. It's time for you to go down, monster. Monster? I'm offended. I'd rather you call me God, he said. Never, she said. As she raised her hand. For Kiri, she said. For Kiri, her ninjas behind her, willing to die for their Mizukage shouted. Some of them, voice wavering, as they rushed forward. As Naruto stood there, Mei started to gather the lava in her throat as she launched several lava balls towards him. They slammed against his skin, but they were absorbed. They didn't even burn his clothing. Mei looked on with shock. A few ninjas stopped in front of him as he speed through outside. Water style! Rushing colliding wave! They spew out a massive torrent of water that collided together to create a tsunami that smashed down on Naruto. But to their utter shock, he did not move. His body burned. The water was turned into smoke as it came in contact with his heated body. Another group rushed forward. Earth style, earth bullets. Several hundred earth bullets were launched towards Naruto. But the moment they came close enough, they were incinerated. A massive gale was sent towards him by the wing users. But to their utter surprise, it got absorbed into his body. All attacks that were launched towards him, he didn't move. Mei was getting worried, as she could see. She could literally see the amount of chakra he was gathering, as he held up his hands together. Have you ever wondered how hot the sun is? Naruto asked. His arms coming together closely. he started to create a miniature ball that looked almost like the sun. The ninjas rushed in to attack him to stop him from what he was doing, but Ragnarok wouldn't allow them. He dropped his tail on the ground. The force sent all of them sailing away as he dropped and rolled. The entire village of Kiri, the buildings, shook with a violent force. He then raised his head to the sky. As he dropped his mouth low, a wave of fire rushed from his mouth. They had to move as a few tried to block the water style and earth style, but they were incinerated. Ragnarok slammed his foot into the ground. He was like a natural disaster. The ground cracked open. Lava spewed out from the earth. May released an acidic mist as she sprayed towards Ragnarok, who simply opened his mouth and swallowed it before reversing it back towards her at a higher density. She tried to stop it from watching over her group, but some of it spread out as people cried in pain and agony, their bodies being burned into unrecognizable states. Ragnarok then flew back up in the air as suddenly she was grabbed from behind. She froze. How could he? To her surprise, he was still standing there. So what the hell was holding on to her? Misama! Kotaro rushed in to save her, bringing down his blade on the attacker. Another copy of Naruto. But she didn't see him weave any hand signs or do anything. It was like he poofed into existence. Kotaro received a nasty kick across the face that snapped his jaw as he was sent sailing right into the mouth of Ragnarok. May's eyes widened, but she was teleported away. She found herself bind as she couldn't feel her chakra as his hand was behind her neck. Let me go, she said. She tried to fight, but nothing she was doing was working. As her body was weak, her chakra seemed like it was sealed off. You do know that all of this chakra is basically mine, right? After all, the Tail chakra along with mine has been merged together. So you people are just having the small supply of the Tail's chakra. So don't think that he can actually fight against me. As he slammed her head down on Ragnarok, Ragnarok's body was so tough it felt like her head had hit stone. He made her peer off Ragnarok as he was looking down. She saw the real Naruto stepping forward, shuriken kunai as the people screamed in frustration were melted as they came into a vicinity of him. People started to scream as their arms started to burn. The small ball in his arm has gotten large to the size of a beach ball. As he released it right in the center, May's eyes went wide as Naruto flew back up towards her. He placed his hand forward as 3 truth-seeking orbs came in front of them. As she heard cries, pleas to their Mizukage to help them, tears started leaking from her eyes. She heard the innocent crying out for pain. She couldn't see anything that was going on as they were encircled in a black ball, as it was for their own protection. As Naruto had pumped so much power into that technique, it, could even hurt him. Because it was a miniature sun. The sun below started to grow hotter and hotter and larger. People started to just melt from coming into the near vicinity of the sun. Screams and pain and agony as buildings, shops, children, innocents started to melt down to the bones. Before the thing exploded like a Titan bomb right in the center of the village. The heat sprayed everywhere. All wildlife in the area, all water along the seaboard, all the surrounding islands with trees, water, fruits, vegetables on the trees, the animals. Everything was incinerated. It was like the sun had been pulled from the sky and swallowed everything in a massive explosion. The heat was unbearable, undrenchable. Nothing could scald the open heat that burned, ripping through the entire valley of the land of water of Kiri. Everything was incinerated. The body of ocean was gone within seconds. The mighty water lake were consumed by the hot scalding fire of the miniature sun that erased everything from existence. Everything was just gone. May stood there unmoving as her body was coated in a silver glow. Not even you can stand up towards the heat that is still radiating from this place, said Naruto. As he stood there, She didn't look at him or say anything. Ragnarok was feeling the heat as he flew a bit up so that he wouldn't get severely burned. Despite the major sun being gone, the earth was still so hot. No human, no civilian, no one could enter this place. Well, except for Naruto. His body was already flushed with the fire chakra inside. But even if that technique had hit him, it wouldn't really kill him, but it would damage him severely. After all, he incinerated everything. The only thing Mei saw was black. The ground scorched black, all of her people. Everyone had died. She gave up hope there and then, as she saw no reason to continue after all. Everyone was gone. Everything that she fought for. Everyone that she bled. Killed for. Everyone that she lost in the past. Everything that happened between her and Yagura. Everything was gone. Her home. Her people. Everyone was dead. The entire eastern seaboard was completely wiped off the map. There was nothing remaining. As Naruto sat down on Ragnarok as he looked over, he looked at his hand that were a bit scorched, but they were already healing over. Guess I went a bit too overboard, he said, as even he got burned. He then realized his body was still being flushed with nature energy. That was the cause of it. Nature energy, along with his power, was truly a dangerous thing. He stood back up as he looked down towards her. She was unmoving, unblinking. She hadn't said anything. He picked her up by the throat. Her body still cloaked in a silver chakra so she wouldn't be incinerated. I warned you, but yet still you still betray me. You have nothing to say, he asked. Go ahead. Kill me, she said. She didn't see any reason for going on anymore. After all, everything she fought for was gone. She wouldn't be some refugees in another nation. Everything, all the money, everything was gone, so she would be a no-name lady. Just being, well, treated like crap on the streets. All of her people, she feel him. It's better she go down here with them than live on for another moment. As Naruto grabbed her by the throat, she barely gasped, as she just wanted to be over with. Pathetic, he said. You brought this on yourself. As he removed his silver chakra from her, she winced in pain as her skin started to burn. The atmosphere was still so hot as he dropped her. As she started to fall, there was no hate in her eyes, just acceptance. As she fell from a long drop, her body smashing into the blackened ground. As the heat slowly ate away her skin, she didn't cry. She just accepted her fate until her entire face was melted off, leaving nothing but her bones that were incinerated into dust that were grind into the earth, and they were gone. And with that, Kiri was completely, no, not Kiri, the land of water was completely wiped off the map. Everything was gone. There was nothing but a scorched, empty area. Probably, in a couple years or so, they will be able to rebuild. But still, no one was coming here for a while. Even reaching a few miles up here, you will be dead instantly, as the heat was too much for anyone to step foot inside this place. That should make them know better, father, said Ragnarok. Well, it's their fault. Yes. Are we gonna do this to the other nations? No, said Naruto. We will give them time to try and get them whips about them for them to realize that there is no hope. As Naruto snapped his head to the left. What's wrong, father? There is someone hiding from me, said Naruto. Who is, father? Who could hide from you? The person. I don't know exactly where they are. It's not a Sharingan dimension. It's somewhere strange. Being in tune with nature now, I can sense them a bit stronger. Earlier I felt it, and just a moment ago. But they slipped away from me once again. But who is it, father? Strangely enough, the person power feel like my mother's. Wait, does that mean? Naruto smiled. Yes. There's another Otsutsuki on this planet, hiding somewhere. But since when, father? I actually have no idea. But I will find whoever it is. Perhaps they can give me a worthy fight. And I'll be by your side, father, to crush them as well. Naruto patted Ragnarok's head. Yes. Come on, it's time to go home, he said. Time skip. The gate guards. They were watching the gate. Well, the inner section. After all, you had to pass through 3 sections first to get into the Osusuke Empire. The last section remaining. The guards instantly dropped to their knees as they saw him. They knew that their lord wouldn't be killed so easily. As they bowed their head, he stepped past them without saying a single word. As he made his way inside, the world hasn't known yet that Kiri and the entire nation of water was wiped off the map. As Naruto walked through the streets of his empire, people bowed their head as they dropped to the ground. Bowing to their lord, they knew that he wasn't killed. After all, with the power that he showed, he couldn't be killed. Everyone was dressed in fine kimonos or neat clothing. Even the children was dressed in wonderful clothing. After all, Naruto wouldn't have his people dressed in ragged, torn clothing like when Orochimaru had them. He didn't know why, but he felt kinda happy. That was strange to him. Yes, he was always happy, but now he felt a bit more than happy for some reason. He felt so happy that he even offered them a smile. The kunoichi that he smiled at held on to her heart in surprise. As she squealed in delight after he was gone. Did you see that? He smiled at me, she said. What did you do? The kunoichi beside her asked. I don't know. As she held on to her heart, their leader actually smiled. And the mood around him was so delightful and happy. Naruto made his way towards the palace. Making his way inside, he took the normal route. He did not fly up or anything. The elevator brought him straight up. As Naruto made his way, he came by Guren and Teiwaya. As they greeted him politely as usual, they had a smirk on their face as they told him that Yujito was upstairs as she wanted to tell him something. He thought the 3 of them would want to have a session with him, but the 3 of them were smiling, well, unusually. So he didn't know what was going on, but he was curious. As he made his way, decided not to spoil their surprise, he made his way up there. As he entered into the large bedroom, sitting on the rather oversized bed was Yujito, as she was at the edge. As Naruto's eyes scanned over her, as he felt it before he even saw it, there was another chakra signature in her stomach. She turned towards him. You're pregnant. She paused. She sighed. Of course he would find out before she told him. When he came back, he wasn't in his human form, a projection that he said it was. So he couldn't find out, but now, the moment he saw her, of course he would know. You spoiled the surprise, she said. As she gave him a smile. A genuine, true happy smile. So, what do you think, she asked. She looked at him rather nervously. Knowing him, this reaction could go either way, but it should be happy, right? As Naruto stood there, he said that he wanted that ear to rule at his side with him as well, but he never actually thought what that meant. He never knew the joys of being a father because he was never one. The only thing that came close to that was him taking care of Mito. His heart shuddered at the thought. As he looked at her, his eyes focused on her stomach. To have someone to actually call him father. Someone to look up to him for different reasons than being with him or as one of his servants. A child. His hand moved forward but stopped. Seeing that she stepped forward, she held onto his hand. She placed it on her stomach as he felt a gentle kick. This was the first time she felt his touch so, well, fragile. His hand was usually strong and tough, but now it was just fragile and really soft, holding on to her rather peacefully as she felt the warm contact coming from him. She saw a smile creep up on his face, a smile that was different from any of his usual bloodthirsty or angry or happy smiles. This was just genuine happiness. The news was, well, he was taking it quite well. I'm going to be a father, he said. She was finding this character of him strange right now, because usually he didn't act like this. But at least he was happy, but he seemed rather nervous about it. Yes, we're going to be parents, she said. He looked down towards her stomach. Aren't you happy about this, she said. He said nothing for a few seconds. Before, the smile stretched on his face. Her body moved on instinct as she wrapped her arms around him, hugging him. Yes, you're gonna be a father, she said. And we're gonna have a beautiful baby girl or boy. He just stood there unmoving. The situation being, well, a lot more than he could handle at the moment. But he didn't move or flee or anything. He just stood there. After all, something like this was rather new to him. Time skip. As Naruto stood on the roof of his palace, unmoving, unblinking, he was actually going to be a father. Someone he could call his son or daughter. What the hell was he thinking when he said he wanted that ear? Because he never thought it would make him feel this way. He did not understand why did he feel this way. This sudden rush, this sudden fatherly instinct. And he wasn't even a father yet. This was strange. Was this how their mother felt for them? He wondered. Their mother was never always lovey-dovey, but she was kind and sweet as well. But when they did things wrong, she was also very harsh on them and angry most time. Especially when they start to grow, and when they start to see the world for themselves, and try to pick a different path. Yes. Back then she was harsh, especially when Hagoromo always tried to go up against her. Always believing that he had the right way, to believe in humans. But was this the way she felt upon seeing her child? Was this the way she felt upon fighting all of them? To fight her two sons, having her other one Nakoma, which she couldn't talk to. A father, he said. As he simply lay back in his hands, the first person that came to his mind that he wanted to tell this to was Mito. She was the first thought that came to his head that he wanted to tell her. But he then realized that, well, given this certain situation, that wasn't such a good idea. But she was the first thought that came to his mind. But he knew. She and Haku would never stop. They would continue to come after him, trying to save him, even though he doesn't need any saving. Now being a father, he had a new responsibility. And having them continuously force him back to the village. They have to understand that they need to stop this, because he will never be coming back. This is a new start. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Rain, as both Obito, Nagato, and Konan. Nagato was in his Tendo path. They were sitting in a dark chamber, with a single candle lighting the room. The three of them were completely silent. Nagato had told Obito that he told the Akatsuki to not worry about Naruto yet. But the thing was, plain and simple, they needed the remaining tail beasts. And he has them. He has the 2, the 8 and 9 tails. Taking him down would be ensuring their victory. After all, they had the 1, they had the 3, they had the 4, they had the 5, they had the 6, and they had the 7. The only thing they need right now is the 2, the 8 and 9 tails. So what was the next course of action? But the reason why none of them were saying anything was because of Zetsu, who just rose out of the ground and told them that Naruto had completely wiped Kira off the map. And not just Kira alone, the entire eastern sea border. Everything was completely gone. Obito had quickly checked for himself, as he wanted to see with his own eyes. So he kamui straight over there, and he came upon the scene. Everything was gone. The place was absolutely incinerated. Nothing remained behind. And now he was back. So the entire place was silent. Konan absolutely didn't think that they could take on this monster. But Nagato, being as arrogant and stupid and idiotic as he always is, think that he's some kind of god. Zetsu said nothing as he simply stood there. We will take the remaining Akatsuki and make our way straight towards the Yosuke Empire. He told us to come for the remaining tail beasts, and told us to bring all that we have. With the remaining Akatsuki of Kakazu, Hidan, Itachi, Kisame, we shall bring him down. Your ability to warp behind him will be used to greatly help us in this battle, said Tendo. While he's distracted, while I force him to his knees, and I will, you will end his life. But after we secure the remaining tail beasts, and then this world shall know peace. The entire world must understand by now that he's a threat. They should even be thanking us that we are going to take on this threat to make them live. Because if he goes on, continuing on this path of destruction, the whole world will be wiped out sooner than later. Well then, I guess you will contact the others. I will be waiting for the perfect opportunity to take him down. You have the power. I suggest you bring it all, said Obito. As Nagato said simply nothing. I will be in touch, Obito said. With that, he disappeared in a swirling vortex. Leaving Nagato and Konan and Zetsu went underground. He will be contacting the others shortly. After all, it was time that the Akatsuki reunite to take on their greatest foe yet. Konan, what is your thoughts on this matter, he said. Konan looked at him. For once, she knew that she had to tell him her true feelings, for him to understand that this was dangerous. I'm worried, she said. That I won't survive, he asked. She did not hesitate, yes. Don't you believe in me, he asked. Of course I do, and you know that. But he has shown that he has the ability to do things beyond the realm of humanity, to completely wipe out the eastern seaboard. That is just... She couldn't find the word to comprehend how ridiculous that was. Nagato clenched his fists. He is not the only one that has power to break the realm of humanity. She sighed. She looked up at him. It doesn't matter. We both started this. And we both will go down fighting for our cause. I don't care if it takes the both of us down. We will be side by side doing this, she said. After all, they had gone so far. It wouldn't be wise to back out now. It would be for naught. After all, they have already done so much for the name of peace. Nagato looked at her. Thank you, my friend, he said. Despite his assuring words, he had doubt. Yes, there was a lot of doubts in his heart that he would come back after the battle. Perhaps he will not survive it. Or perhaps he will. This was the first time he was doubting himself, because he felt the immense power from this. Well, he didn't even know if he could call him a human anymore. But tomorrow, they will find out. They will all find out if the Akatsuki fall or if the Otsutsuki Empire topple. At Konoha, as Sasuke, Mito and Haku was coming back home. The both of them had went out to get something to eat, and they were now coming back to the house. Entering through the gate, Mito felt strange, as Haku felt it as well, like something was just off. Sasuke felt a weird feeling, but he shrugged it off rather quickly. They made their way inside, as Mito felt rather thirsty, so she made her way to get a cup from the kitchen. She poured some nice cold water inside. For a moment her mind was all for her brother, not thinking about the future ahead, just calm and steady, only for the cup to fall from her hand and crack. Instantly, Haku and Sasuke came inside the kitchen as they heard the noise. Mito, what? The both of them paused. Sitting right there, sipping on some tea, was Naruto. Of course, he was ingrained into the seal, so he could come here anytime he liked. I suppressed my chakra, so you guys wouldn't know I'm here. I just wanted the three of you to see me, no one else. Sasuke was wondering why the hell didn't he feel anything, as Naruto calmly sipped at the tea, his eyes roaming over them. You're back, said Mito, as she stepped forward. I'm not, he said. He continued to sip at his tea. Sit, he said. The three of them saw the chairs there. Sasuke narrowed his eyes at him. Sit down. It's time we talk. Making their way over cautiously, they sit down. They didn't take their eyes off him for one bit. They were surprised to see him here. They were sure that this wasn't an illusion or anything. After all, they would have spotted it, all of them. So they were confused. He placed down the cup, as he looked all of them dead in the eyes, moving on to one to another. I want you to stop your pursuit of coming after me. Konoha shall be left alone, and the ninjas shall not be harmed by my ninjas. The rest of the world is mine, but I will give Konoha to you. It was always your dream to become Hokage, Mito. Rule it as best as you see fit. Haku, it's better you move on and find someone else to be with. Sasuke, I can go and find your brother for you, so that you can kill him and get your revenge. After that, the three of you must move on. What? Said Mito as she slammed her hand on the table. You came here to tell us that you're still not coming back to us? Yes. Things have changed. And I want you all to stop trying to bring me back. I'm leaving Konoha alone so I won't have to kill you, he said. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. What do you mean by that? If you try to fight to bring me back once again, I'll kill every single one of you. Mito's eyes hardened. You wouldn't. I would, said Naruto. As he looked her dead in the eyes, she stepped back. She always knew when her brother was not telling the truth, or telling a little white lie. But his eyes were firm and hard. No inch of light in them. Konoha was the past. I have moved on to something else. Yujito is pregnant, isn't she? Mito and Sasuke turned towards Haku, completely shocked. Haku, what do you... Yes. How do you know? Mito was shocked. Wait, what? I saw her. Lady Snaddy taught me a lot about human anatomy. And the way she was moving, her hand, protectively moving towards her stomach. The moment she heard about your demise, even coming your hand was going towards her stomach, as she glanced at it nervously every now and then. I could tell that she was pregnant, but I wasn't certain. So that is why you're turning your back against us. Because you have a new life now to move on to. Yes. I don't believe it, said Mito. Naruto reached around his neck. As he pulled off the necklace and placed them on the table, he pushed them over to them. I won't be coming back to Konoha. You'll have to live with that. And I won't be fighting either of you. I'm not a human. Having these emotions, these things were new to me. Back then, it was all about war and who was the strongest. But now things are different. I'm expecting a child on the way. And not just that. I still care about you people. You were my family, my friends, my first love, he said, as he looked at Haku, the last part. But that is all over now. I am different. The situation is different, everything is different. So I suggest you guys move on. Because if you continue to chase after me, if you continue to get in my way, and try to mess up anything that will cause me and my newborn child any pain, if anyone does, I'll kill them without a second thought. I've recently wiped Kiri and the land of water off the map. What does that mean, said Sasuke. You heard me correctly. I killed every single one there. Mito placed a hand over her mouth. He wouldn't. He slammed his hand on the table, breaking it apart. Why can't you get it through your head? I'm not the old Naruto that you know. I kill, I murder, I slaughter. And this is your last chance to give up on me. Because the next time, it's not gonna be me standing there taking your punches. It's gonna be me fighting back if Konoha tries anything against me. If Konoha joined the other villages, I'll kill every single one of them. And that's a promise. You're doing the same thing over again. Trying to look at the bad guys so we hate you and stop coming after you. But it's not gonna work, said Mito, her voice breaking up. Tears already coming to her eyes. No, I'm not. You know me, probably the best out of everyone else. Do you really think I'm doing that? I'm just merely moving on. As Naruto got to his feet, he then narrowed his eyes towards her palm. Seems that my brother gave you a way to seal me away. As his hand started to shake a bit, he calmed himself. In his mind, his hand would just reach out and snap her neck. The reason was not because he wanted to do something like that, was because of the seal that he saw. It angered him every time he saw a seal that had the purpose of sealing him away. He glanced towards Sasuke's hand as he saw the moon. He released a sigh. If you two try anything against me, I'll kill you, he said, as he turned his back to them. Haku, it's best if you move on, because anything between us would just hurt you. I can't show love and affection towards you alone. It's not possible. There's others. I know back in the past I made you a promise that it will be you and us, Because you were the first person I loved. But things have changed now. They're different. Sasuke clenched his fists at both girls, started to cry. They were not making a sound, tears were just leaking from their eyes. You just came here to hurt them more than you already done, you bastard. Sasuke stepped forward. Uchiha! The oath trembled. I warned you. Make another step and you won't like it. Move on with your lives. Because things are different now. With that, he simply blinked out of reality and he was gone. Leaving the three of them there. As Haku felt utterly broken. Everything that she has been fighting for so long. The tears started to flow down. She saw it in his face, he wasn't lying. Mito was silent. Time skip, Naruto arrived on top of the tower. Tears streaming down his face. Naruto? It's the voice. His mind was so, well, riding with emotions. He didn't even censor as he wiped his eyes. He turned. Yujito smashed his shiver a bit. What are you doing out in the cold? As Naruto came up to her. Aren't you coming to bed? Yeah. In a moment, he said. As he kissed her on the forehead. Once again surprising her by his attitude change towards her and everything else. Well, she loved it. Seems like things was really different now. But tomorrow, there will be a lot of chaos as Akatsuki plan to make their move towards the Otsutsuki Empire. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see more, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.